Good morning and happy Saturday at Fort Hill Presbyterian Church family, along with any others who happen to be watching this morning. As you know, this season we've been going through the different fruits of the Spirit, and this week we are focusing on the spirit of gentleness. And alongside this series on gentleness, I've been working with the students on going through the book of Job, which seemed to be a pretty applicable book for this season of life. Job asks a lot of questions that I feel a lot of people are asking right now. Job wrestles with a lot of things that people I imagine are wrestling with right now. But one of the things that we've been really focusing on, and a theme that we've seen through the first couple weeks of the book, is this theme of grief, and both grief and grief care or caretaking. Because in the first chapter of Job is built up to be this monumental figure, this perfect figure with everything that he could ever ask for, that as quickly as it comes is taken away from him, leaving him grieving and questioning and wondering. And it's in that process that you have several different people come in to try to counsel his grief. You have his wife come in and say some things, but then you have some of his friends. You have some of his friends who come in and try to counsel and try to comfort him. And though his friends later in Job have some less than helpful things to say, less than probably productive things to say, I think it's what they say in Job in the second chapter they do rather than say. It's starting in Job 2:11. It says, "When Job's 3 friends heard about all this disaster that had happened to him, they came, each from his home, Eliphaz from Teman, Bildad from Shua, and Zophar from Naamah. They agreed to come so they could console and comfort him. When they looked up from the distance and didn't recognize him, they wept loudly. Each one tore his garments and scattered dust above his head toward the sky. They sat with Job on the ground 7 days and 7 nights, not speaking a word with him, for they saw that he was in excruciating pain." When we've been looking, we've kind of noted some different ways and abilities and things of both grieving but also counseling grief. And I think when I was thinking about today's devotional and this idea of gentleness, I think there's something to be said about the gentleness and compassion we show to those that are grieving, but also the gentleness and compassion we show to ourselves when we're grieving. And I think that that's something for all of us to consider and to think about. Everybody grieves differently. We grieve differently. Our friends and family grieve differently. Some want for us to speak and speak truth into them. It's just speak. They want us to talk first. Others just want a listening ear for you and me to just sit there and listen. And I think that the ability to truly engage with that and be willing to be humble in the process of both grieving and counseling grief shows an extraordinary amount of gentleness towards those around us. And I think during this season of immense grief for not only some of us personally, but for our church and for our world, for our country, for everything, there is a lot of grief. And just remembering the spirit of gentleness when we both grieve ourselves and engage in caretaking is something that I think is fully worthwhile to remember for all of us. Will you please pray with me? Dear God of both the seasons of rejoicing and the seasons of mourning. We come to you this day carrying both those things with us. Some of us carry mourning, some of us carry rejoicing, and we just pray that regardless of where we come to you today, that you allow us to be gentle with ourselves. And we pray also that you help us to be gentle with those around us, our loved ones, our friends and family, and just even the strangers on the street. We pray that you help us to be gentle and carry a heart of kindness and compassion to those who grieve and who carry grief. We just pray this in your name. Amen.